What's happening, people? Welcome to Music Monday. We are back on Music Monday, and today in the skillet we have an excellent tune. One I wrote many years ago. We are on the Sage with Toad album, moving down the track listening, and this is the next one that popped up today. So let's get some tidbits about this song in the skillet. What's it about? Well, first of all, I got the idea uh, back when my dad ran Camp Deerwood in the dining hall. There was a little sign that sat right over the door when you went out. It said, keep your words soft and sweet. You never know which ones you'll have to eat. Then you got to read that 3 times a day, 3 squares a day, and I looked at it every time, and that's kind of where I got the hook of this song, was from that little slogan hanging on the dining hall wall. All right, flash forward many years. I remember the band was in Los Angeles, California, playing of all places, and we'd come into play from a place called the Dragonfly on Sunset Strip. And sitting in the motel parking lot, I was sitting on the back tailgate of the truck, and I'd had this piece of music, and I remember writing the bulk of all the song, maybe all of it, right there in a couple hours after a show one night in California. So, what's words about, without getting into too much of it, there's some really cool parts of it, but it's about, using words or saying things that you don't mean, and, regretting it. Ultimately, it kind of goes along with the old saying, you cannot retract a spoken word, and you can't. So, a couple, I won't get too much into all the verses, but there's some cool parts in it. In the second verse, people always ask me, hey, it says a truck showed up somewhere in Florida. I guess it'd been about 10 years. Well, Truck was a guy I played basketball with at the University of South Carolina named Jimmy Foster. We called him Truck. Big old dude, 6'9", power forward, played in the NBA for a while. And I hadn't seen the dude in years. He had played pro ball. He played for the Sacramento Kings for a while, and then he went to Australia and played. He got into some legal trouble in the States, and I hadn't seen him in forever. And Ben was playing in Tallahassee, Florida one night, and the dude just showed up in the parking lot after a gig one night. And I was like, what are you doing here? Hadn't seen him in years. So that Truck in that verse is all about Jimmy and kind of some of the troubles he went through. And, he was kind of a swindler. He got himself into trouble here and there, and I just want to touch on that because people always ask me who it was. And the whole part of that's true. It's a fascinating story about how he got back in the country when he was playing pro basketball in Australia. So join my Patreon group if you want to hear more about that, because I'm going to put that up because I should write a book. It's so interesting. All right, last verse, really, I got the last verse idea from John Felty's wife, was from Ashland, Kentucky, Cherie. And a guy she used to date before she met John showed up in Colorado at one of our shows at Josh's one time, back when John and Cherie hadn't even started going out yet. And I got that whole last verse is about that guy, and that's where it came from. So it's all true. Some of my songs are not autobiographical or true, but this one, all of it is. And, it's a wonderful tune. It's one of my favorite ones I've written. It's got a lot of cool pieces to it. And it's really just about, hey, keep your words close to the bone, man, because you never know which ones you're going to have to eat. All right, guitar players, let's dive into a little bit of this. It's in drop D and a capo on the 3rd fret, which puts it in F. I don't think I have written many songs in F, but this one's in F. So that would be a D sharp and an F. So if you played like an A minor chord and took your finger off, and of course that's a D sharp, and you slid it up. And the cool thing about being in drop D like this, when you take that chord and you slide it up to 2 steps, you can hit all the strings with the root note of the F. So it's back down like that with D sharp. And then these chords are really cool. Here again, if you want to need to break more of these down, you're going to have to jump in that Patreon thing, because when you're in drop D, these chords change. So, the turn part in the verses is really, what would that be? The root note, that's an A sharp, E, G, but you play them like this. So that chord is really, you got ring finger on 3rd fret, 5th string, middle finger, 6th string, 3rd fret, and then you got to come down here and put your index finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret. It's that chord. It's kind of a stretch, and then you slide it up 2 steps, and then down with your pinky anchored on the 2nd string on the 3rd fret. So Beautiful chords. And then D sharp, which is just like a C chord. And then the D is the F, and you can hit all of them with the F root. It's a D chord position, but it's a key F, chord of F. That's pretty much it. You know, the bridge piece is completely different, that little lick. Yeah. So again, a lot of pieces to it. So if you want me to teach you how to play it, join my Patreon. I'll certainly do it. So that's what we got in the skillet today. If you haven't ever heard this song, I do want to mention that Doug Wanamaker from Indecision, who we played with many times, a killer band from Northern Virginia, who we did quite a few shows with in the early years, came down to the Capricorn Studios in Macon, Georgia, where we cut this album and this song. And he does all the keyboard playing on this particular track. Did an excellent job. So tip of the hat to Doug Wanamaker. For some keys part, Beth Wood sings the out refrain vocal, the girl you hear singing at the end of it. That's Beth, who sang on so much of our stuff. So fantastic tune. If you've never heard it, by all means, share it. And that's what we got in the skillet today for Music Monday, a really cool tune called Words, and a lot of truth packed into this one. And as Paul Harvey would say, now you know the rest of the story, and you certainly do.